everything on your own anyway, or just like,
Well, yeah, it was kind of one of those situations where through making BMX videos, I kind of already learned a lot. So I
gotcha,
was kind of like ahead of the game. And
gotcha.
being in debt for that much money for something you felt like you're that ahead on, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But we are officially live. This man needs no introduction, but I'll say he's Tate Roskelley. And is he the most creative BMX rider?
Debatable. There's a few out there.
Dude, there are. There actually are. And there's
There are.
becoming more and more.
I would totally agree with that. Actually, like it's becoming more cool to be creative lately, or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think people are just bored with the status quo, to be totally honest. All right, so I guess we're going to start with the thing that I didn't really want to talk about because I just can't stop thinking about it. You work at a grocery store.
Yes, I do.
What is it like working at a grocery store with all of this going on?
I mean, I've been working at a grocery store since I was 16.
Yeah.
Kind of become my career outside of BMX, and so I've been doing that for like what 15 plus years, or maybe like even 20, but anywhere a little less than 20. And I've never seen anything like this last few months. It was crazy, especially like in Utah. It was the two Utah Jazz players that first kind of got it, that really threw it in the spotlight.
Oh,
And so like the next day I went into work, just walking in like do another day, and we did like more than we did on like Christmas Eve, which is typically our busiest day of the year. We did that in like 6 hours. So we just got into
jeez.
full on like emergency mode. Like me and my sister were just like, okay, like let's just get everything out. Like try to keep everybody's calm and like smooth. And nobody knew what to expect. Like people are trying to hoard like everything, and within one day, like shelves were just went from full stock to normal conditions to like the movies. You know, when you see
Yeah,
like
like that's what it legitimately felt like
yeah.
when you walked
So
into a grocery store.
it was a little weird. I saw like all types of people. Like you saw the people that are like, well, like I don't give a shit, and you saw the
Mm-hmm.
people that like freaked out. You saw the people that kind of like stayed in the middle. And then one thing like a lot of people don't know is like a couple weeks into that, when it first broke, Utah had an earthquake. So everybody was already on edge. And I've never been in an earthquake, but I woke up with my girlfriend just like, what is going on? And it was like a magnitude 7 point something, just like about 20 miles west of Salt Lake. And so when that happened, like I went into work that day, like luckily my house and everything was okay. A few things fell off and whatnot, but that like started this other wave of panic because Utah's like heavily Mormon culture,
Oh
and
my
so I think everybody's just like the world's gonna end.
god.
We're stocking up, so it was just like those 3 weeks were crazy,
Oh
and
my
I'm kind of
god.
glad to say that it's getting back to normal for the most part. So that's thankful
Yeah,
for them.
that's what it feels like. What about riding through that? Because I know we talked and you said that you still had been riding.
Yeah, I mean like no matter what, like I'm off by about maybe some days I say a little later, but usually I'm off by 6, and like
Mm-hmm.
we're even working a full-time job. I will ride probably at least 5 days a week. I just make time for it, like
Yeah.
I just love it too much to not do it. So writing wise, those first few weeks hurt a little bit because we were working like 12, 13-hour days. But like within 2 weeks, it kind of like writing got back to normal. And I mean, all in all, like Utah's been pretty kind of like you were saying earlier, like not too crazy. Like, they
Yeah.
don't want big groups and all that. But as far as the street riding has been great, like nobody's out on the streets. I
Yeah.
don't like riding in big crews anyway. Like I like kind of keeping it kind of low key. So like
Same.
I'm fine with the social distancing stuff. It's just like right up my alley. Minus,
Same.
maybe a get together here and there, but I really got no complaints as far as the riding goes. It's just been great. Salt Lake's been like a ghost town.
That's awesome.
It's
How
just
big
cool
is
to be
like
able to.
on a regular basis, like where you're riding at, how big of a city would you say it is? Is it like bigger city that you're riding in or smaller town type place?
I live right in downtown Salt Lake.
Okay.
So, but with that being said, like Utah's kind of a cool place because you can be in the city or in the mountains within like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a really small town, so like I've always thought like I love the city, but I like getting out of it too at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I just all over the state of Utah pretty much.
Gotcha. I was just
So I'll write a
asking
little bit of everything.
because I noticed like right at the beginning, we went out and we started riding street like immediately. and it was awesome. It seemed like nobody was going to bother you or anything like that. And then as things progressed, it's like I'd go out and ride street, and it was more and more people just around. So when there's a lot of people around, I get nervous. I'm like, dude, what is going on? There's more
Yep.
people now than before before anything
Yeah,
happened.
I think everybody just got fed up with it after a little while. I was like, we got to get out and do something, you know?
Yeah, so I just wondered if you like noticed the same thing at all, or
Yeah, especially I'd say this last month, to me, it's like back to normal pretty much out here at least.
yeah. People never stopped going to the local skate park, even though they put up a sign and stuff. Like
Same.
it was gone, and people just. I haven't went since it all started, just because I'm not trying to catch it. I'd be the guy who gets that ticket.
Yeah, absolutely, right?
But people haven't stopped going there.
Yeah.
The first and only thing that I really, really wanted to talk about is I wanted to ask you if you even have normal sessions. Like what is a normal session riding your bike?
So I'd say like 3-4 days of the week, I ride alone, and that's probably the most normal session I have. Like, for me to like be creative, I just need to like. A lot of times I'll just get in my car and I don't even know where I'm going, but I'll just start driving and like kind of just let like, oh, I'll go check this out, and then like just start, riding around and daydreaming. And sometimes those sessions are just like I'm practicing little parts of something that I want to work into something else.
Yeah.
Or I'm just practicing like a really basic trick that most riders would have dialed, but like if I incorporating it, I have to like practice a little bit. So all in all, I would say not on a conventional standard, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been the way I am for so long. I don't know what's normal anymore, you know?
That's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I just wondered, like, does he ever just like go and do tricks? Like go to the skate park and just have a session? Or is it always just I'm trying to find something different and creative to do?
No, I do have basic tricks that I practice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Manuals, your basic stuff like that. And yeah, I actually would say that I do practice the basics a pretty good amount. Like in the wintertime, I ride parking garages a lot by myself. And I'm just doing, basic like flat ground, or not really flat ground, but just like 180s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just think the more you practice the basics, like just the smoother it makes you look. So I do practice the basics. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of a cool answer, because I wasn't sure if like you went and rode skate parks, but we only saw like the stuff that you put out, but you're actually going out and riding other stuff.
Yeah, no, I read a good bit of everything, and I would say I have a normal side of my writing that I could do that might kind of surprise people. Like,
yeah.
I'm not saying I'm like good at normal tricks by any means, because I'm not, but I do have like a lot of the stuff that I film is like ideas that I've worked on, and then finally like you're seeing the finished product.
Yeah.
And anytime you have a finished product like that, there's a lot of steps that go into like doing it. So yeah, there's a good normal side of me for sure. That answers your question there. How about you? You that way?
Dude, I feel like I have like the same. I feel like you and I have the same amount of like we have 100 BMX stats that we go put in different.
Gotcha.
You put yours into the creative like side of things, and I just put them everywhere. So
Gotcha.
I'll go to the skate park and do 5 taps all day long. Or I'll go and find the parking lot and play with my milk crate for 3 hours. Like,
oh yeah,
it just varies based on what my brain's like. Oh, I want to do this today.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. With you saying that is a big part of like riding along. If like, there's been tons of times that I'll like have a trick I did and I'll just go practice it by myself over and over and over and over and over until I like feel like it's looking cool, or like I can actually kind of do what I want. So
yeah,
I know what you're saying there.
I wondered too, like, I feel like I get the sentiment that you're probably going to say yes to this, but when you go out and you're riding, is it mostly like you find that one thing that you're going to focus on for the session, and then you do that until you're satisfied?
Yeah, but I mean, yes, for the most part. But there are days that I kind of go out I'm just going to go out kind of open book today and just kind of see what's talking to me.
Yeah.
I know, like, you ever have those days where you're just like, maybe you had a long day at work and you're kind of tired. You're just like, oh, like I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it because it's what I do and I know it'll make me feel good. And like sometimes those days when I'm not trying too hard and just like going with the flow, like I'll get an idea that's just like, where did that come from? And I think that's just like maybe work ethic and just, you know, trusting the process. And because, you know, being creative, like people just think you're creative, but I don't really think there's like a creative person. I think like it's just something you kind of get into and you really got to like, it's like working out. Like the more you think creatively, like the better you get at it.
Yeah.
And it's not a method. There's no right way to do it, no wrong way to do it. It's just kind of like putting in the work and like being there when the right thing falls. You know what I mean?
You're like working out the creative muscles rather than working out the turn down over a dirt jump muscles.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wish I could do that, but
dude, me too.
I
can't turn down either. Don't feel bad. I can't turn down at all. That's really interesting, and I definitely can relate because I get stuck on tricks for hours at a time almost every time I'm at a skate park.
Ask anybody that's ever filmed me, and I'm sure it's the same for you. You know,
that's where these come from.
Oh yeah, dude, I got to get better at self-filming. I really do. Like, I just need to get better at it. I admire the fact that you can do it pretty well. I don't know.
Almost out of like necessity, just because at this point I'm so tired of asking people to film and then like that. This is gonna sound bad to say this, but it's not anyone's fault but mine for taking too long. But people start out doing an amazing job filming, and then by the time you're 100 or 150 attempts in, they're tired of filming by that point, so they're not doing what they were doing at the beginning, and then you end up bummed out because something didn't happen, didn't get filmed the way you wanted it to.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but I got a good couple of, like, I'll just shout them out: Riley Smith, Mike Stroni, John Tinsley, Elf. Like, those are kind of the main dudes I film with, and they're like understand me pretty good. So like, thanks to those dudes for always like, I can try. Like, if one of those dudes is behind the lens, like it's like, all right, I know what's good.
Yeah.
And then like another thing I always think about, and I mean, hence with your self filming, like I can do something for 6 hours straight. No problem. The only thing that I don't like is making that person film me for that long.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly.
Like, if it was up to me, I have pretty good endurance because I ride all the time, and so like I just feel bad like 3 hours in being like, oh man, it would suck to be sitting here filming me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
At least I'm getting some endorphins out of this or something. Let alone just sitting there like hitting record all day. You know?
Yeah, definitely feel that, and that was the first couple Live Lords videos. Honestly,
I bet.
Hadn't figured out yet that you could just leave the camera running for minutes at a time.
Yep.
So it was like, all right, push record. Then whenever I stop, push stop.
Yeah.
No, we'll just record for 4 minutes and we'll be good.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk sometime. You have to give me some pointers on self-filming.
Yeah, just doing it is the biggest one.
Makes sense.
Oh, man. Another thing that I wrote down here that I like, and it goes along the lines of what we're talking about now, like with the creative stuff, and I know that just like me, you're constantly thinking of what you want to do. How long is your trick list of things that you haven't found the setup for or haven't like gotten to yet?
It's long, but not as long as you'd maybe think.
Yeah.
I improv a lot. Like I'll have an idea and I'll get there and like it's not working and like I have part of it worked out and like say I worked out getting a filmer there, like sometimes like, well, this ain't gonna work, I'm just gonna improv this. So like I wouldn't say it's super long. Don't get me wrong, it's 20 plus things, you know, maybe, or not much more than that. There's some things I'm out there looking for, but a lot of it's just kind of like in the moment, in the zone, at the right time, boom, bang, you know what I mean? So
yeah, you seem like the kind of person who's like not necessarily looking for something specific, but just looking for something.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And then you find something and then work your magic with it and figure out how it's
good days, yeah.
What's the
most? You know how that goes out.
Oh, dude. And the problem, and I guarantee you're the same way, is that it's too damn hard to walk away from it. You can't.
I filmed something yesterday that I tried for like 2 hours last Sunday, and finally got it yesterday. And it was like a little bit scary. I was like eating shit when I wasn't landing it, and yeah, it felt good.
Oh, dude, I bet you
But
were.
that first day, I was just like, I'm not stopping. I'm gonna get this. Like, I don't want to like get into. Sometimes you don't want like you've tried to trick for an hour, like you're just in that zone. It's just like, oh, I'm exhausted, but it's so much easier. Like I got all the muscle memory right here.
Yeah.
And it's easy to push that into like 2 hours to where it's like actually like, it was one of those things I went back and got it in about 30 minutes.
Oh,
Just
obviously,
because they had
that's how it
fresh
always
legs.
works.
I actually was like visualizing landing it the night before. Like it was kind of complicated with some of the stuff I had to do, but yeah, I hate walking away.
You
I'd
almost
rather
like
just
can't.
try it till I have to crawl away until versus walking away. You know, I hate that shit for sure.
That's part of where some of the anxiety, at least for me, comes with street riding, because I'm like, I know I'm going to find this spot that I'm not going to be able to pull this trick right away. And I'm terrified that some random hero of the day is going to come around and be like, oh, you can't be here.
Oh, it's the worst. We've all had it. I look for like a lot of times when I'm looking for a spot that I know it's like gonna take a while. I'll Part of me looking for that spot is like finding something that I have a pretty good idea that I'll be able to camp out at, stuff
Yeah.
like that. Because like there's a lot of riders that can go up to like a big rail in the middle of a big office depot, whatever, and just like they just need a couple minutes to fire it out. That's not how I work by any means.
Yeah.
Once in a
Heard
while, though,
that.
you know that feeling that keeps coming back when you think, like, oh, this is gonna be hard, but I think I can do it, and it just works really easy. Like, I love that feeling.
A
When it
couple of
doesn't
those.
happen much, but it's a good feeling when it does.
When that happens, though, I cannot help but feel like I should add something to it or make it harder somehow, because
So glad you
it
said
was
that.
too easy.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
There have been way too many times where like you land something really awesome really fast, and then you try to add something to it for 2 hours, then you get
Yep.
it, and then you watch the first one, you're like, oh, that was better anyway.
Oh yeah. The older I get, the more I've like got this in my mind of like separate yourself from the clip a little bit. Like I need at least a couple hours or even a day or two, and then look at it later.
Oh, that's a good
And then
thought.
it's just like, oh wow, like okay, I do like that because like when you're in the moment, like no matter what you're doing, doesn't look as fast as you're going or as hard as it really is. Then if you like separate yourself from it a little bit and then come back, it's just like kind of gives that fresh perspective on like, oh, I could make this better, or like what was I. Yeah, I'm sure you've done the thing where you land, like you just said, like land the trick within a few goes, try it for another 2 hours, and it's like, oh, I like the first one better. So I do that a lot. So glad I'm not alone. I'm sure there's a lot more out there too.
Not alone at all, unless you're freaking Eric, who seems like he could just do everything he wants to really fast.
Yeah, I rode with him a couple times now, and every time it's just like that kid. He's got something that I wish I had. Just like magic bike control. Never seems to get mad or frustrated. Like,
do you get mad?
Got something physical. I do. I do. The older I get, the better I'm at it. Not like dwelling on it. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I just don't think getting mad really helps me that much.
Yeah.
Maybe if something happens where like I'm trying something and somebody's doing the hero thing to where they shouldn't even like bother, that's when I'll kind of like, that's what kind of makes me mad. But
yeah,
as far as I just know, like if I can stay calm and just stay in my zone, like that benefits me way more than getting mad and throwing my bike and stuff like that.
Right.
I used to do that a little more when I was younger, but I don't really. I'd say I'm actually getting into a pretty good zone to like try to stay calm and just focus on the task at hand.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's kind of similar for me. I don't get mad so much as like at the trick and my inability to land it right away as the other factors that distract you from the focus zone, like the stupid little stuff, like at the skate park, you got the little kid who's just constantly running back and forth. You're like, oh my, like that's what frustrates me, because then I can't focus on what I'm trying to do.
That's why I like, I'd say like I love abandoned spots.
Yeah,
like places you can just go and just like kind of no distractions, camp out. Like I love that stuff, and you can just get away from all of it. I mean, but they're always there, no matter what. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
I guess that's part of riding,
Yeah. Ricky's actually in the chat here, and he had a good question. He asked
What's up, Ricky?
about going back to old spots and doing new things at them. You ever do that?
I do. Yeah, I do. I'm trying to think of one in particular, but yeah, like I always like revisit like old areas that I'll ride an area a lot, and then I'll kind of quit riding it for a while, then I'll go back. Yeah, I'm all for that. All for that.
I feel like your style of riding doesn't lend to that as much because the way you seem to ride is like you're using the stuff besides the spot.
Oh yeah.
So like
yeah,
if there's
right,
not
sitting around a cone, maybe.
right, like if there's not a random thing there, it's gonna be totally different and like limiting.
Absolutely.
And
that's what's so cool though is like you never really know. Like a lot of the times, me getting a clip just depends on like the right garbage lane in the corner. You know what I mean? Like that's
funny.
the thing I love about street riding is just like rolling the dice here. You never know what you can find. Like I love that feeling.
Yeah, dude, that I can literally pinpoint the exact moment where I made that connection with riding. And it was riding with Hamilton, and he used one of those like 20-ounce bottle racks where it's got the different slots.
Yeah.
And literally he just put it in the middle of one of his lines and did a tire skid on it in the middle of his line.
Was that the one in the animal video? Like I guess that was a milk crate in the animal video.
Yeah, I don't remember if I filmed. It was when we were riding together. I can't remember if I filmed that or what. Cool. I just remember it happening and then going to so many different spots and just using the stuff.
Look at all this stuff. Oh yeah. Hamilton definitely opened my eyes. Like I was a big fan, and still am. But like when that first animal video came out, like he just blew my mind. It was like so different, and I loved it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely
loved it.
That makes me wonder? Did you like have a group of people riding with that you like? How did you get to where you're at now when it comes to like the side of type of riding that you do?
I guess one thing that like looking back, I think maybe made me a more creative rider is I grew up in a really small town.
Yeah.
Like a little mountain town in Utah.
Yep.
Like when you hear kids say there's like no street spots in their town, like there were no street spots. It was like a hill.
Yeah.
And there was like maybe a few curbs and that's it. But there was no like, there was a gas station like 3 miles away, and that was it. Like, and so like I would just ride. My driveway was a little bit of like a hill, so I just rode that a lot. And so there was no really other riders in that town. I was friends with the only other kid that skated in my school. And then I always looked up to like Behringer and like Elf and Aiken and all those guys. But they lived kind of far away still, so like they might as well just live somewhere else. But when I graduated high school, I moved down to St. George for a year to go to school down there. And then I moved back, and I was living in Ogden, and I got to know like Elf and those guys and stuff like that. And so I started riding with those guys, which was like the coolest thing for me ever because like, looked up to all those dudes. And that's kind of how I got into that crew, I guess. And then it happened. Kind of right place, right time for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, made a bunch of friends since.
It started.
Does that answer your question? I don't know if I kind of
started with it by saying you grew up in that small town with literally no spots, and that's kind of how it seems like it goes. You either end up going somewhere with spots, or you end up making with what you have and being more creative with it.
There was a lot of that. Did you grow up in a small town?
Yeah, I'm literally still in the same town I grew up in. And
where at exactly? I know, but I just can't.
It's in Ohio.
Okay.
So it's like an hour from Rays, an hour south of Rays.
Okay.
South of Cleveland. And it's literally just because of the prefab skate park that I grew up riding and still ride.
Yeah.
When you get stuck with a 4-foot ramp and you love it, you love it enough to not want to go somewhere else and ride, you just end up doing everything possible.
Whatever makes you happy, man. I'm all for that.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like the perfect storm of like that prefab park, growing up riding there, and then going to Columbus and riding street with Hamilton every other day, and then coming back and it being like
how was it riding with Hamilton, by the way? Is that Is that pretty cool? Has to be, right?
Yeah, dude, it's honestly like, it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like he just is in his own world of BMX. So like you go to a spot, and before I understood it and kind of saw things the way he did, I'd just be like, what's going on? But you realize like you're
Huh.
going to these spots, and he's not just like crazy. He's just looking everywhere to see, like he's trying to find that random pallet that he can set up on this thing to make
That's
this
awesome.
spot work that would otherwise be impossible.
That's awesome. I
Like
love it.
the one day we rode a couple years ago, we went to this spot that was just this random, like how loading dock areas have like concrete banks sometimes up
Yeah.
the bank thing, but this one was kind of like a berm type deal. It was super fast, but there's really nothing you could do at it. It was curved, and like it was just kind of like meh, whatever. It went to flat ground. Then all of a sudden, I look up because I'm riding it like a bank, and there's a parking block, so I'm just using it as a sub. I look up, and this dude on his skateboard has a fake brick wall, like 4 foot by 4 foot fake brick wall that he's wheeling to the curved thing. And I'm like, because like he just disappeared because he was looking for stuff to set up.
Fake wall.
Yeah, dude, and
That's
he
awesome.
just rolls up with this fake brick wall that's wooden with like fake bricks on it and sets it up, and it ends up being like a curved wall, like berm type thing to wall ride that you can do a bunch of weird stuff on.
Sweet.
That's like the perfect example of it, because it's like he literally, I'm over here doing my thing, just riding normal, and he's gone because he's just looking for something.
I can relate to that mindset a little bit. I'm always hauling weird shit around everywhere, you know?
Yeah, you guys really should ride together.
Definitely.
That would be...
Yeah, I need to get out there sometime, man. I really do.
Dude, you really should, because then we could ride together.
We'll make it happen. I'll get out there. I've always wanted to hit Ray's Mountain Bike Park, too. That place looks crazy.
What we need...
It's like so much fun.
That's where the split edit needs to happen. And it needs to be after hours riding street at Ray's.
Can you make that happen? Can you get the after hours session in?
I mean, we're live on the internet, so I don't want to make any promises I can't keep, but I feel like I could.
That's why I don't ride skate parks. I mean, I still ride skate parks a good amount, but there's nothing I hate more than riding crowded skate parks.
Yeah, that's
like
what's
in the middle
cool
of winter. I would literally rather go ride a cold parking garage by myself than go to like a crowded skate park, especially like the indoor crowded skate parks in the winter in Utah. Like, I can't do crowded skate parks at all. I break down, man. I hate that feeling when you like people are watching you and you like feel like you have to impress them.
Yeah,
that just shuts me down completely, like creatively and writing wise. I'm just like, I don't like this.
When your tricks take 2 hours to land, like that doesn't help. And that's one thing I absolutely love about Ray's is that like the BMX areas of Ray's, you can't ride more than one person at a time very well. Like the bowl with the spine and everything, that is like one person at a time all the time. You can't get two people in there unless it's on purpose. And then like the street rooms is the same way. The only places that you can get more than one person in there is like the places that are obvious for that.
Interesting.
So you don't have to worry about that. And then the whole like performing for people type thing, I feel like there's like two mindsets at Ray's. It's like, I don't care that there's people here. I want to do this ice pick candy bar saran wrap no footer bar, and I don't care how long it takes, or I'm just gonna ride around and cruise.
That's awesome.
So like, I think you would definitely like Ray's.
Sweet, yeah. We'll have to make it happen. I know there was a skate park here in Utah. It actually went out of business, but a couple years ago I was like riding it in the wintertime, and that's when I first one of the first times I started playing around with the tire coming out of my forks thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so the guy that ran it, like he was kind of in the mountain bike world, but didn't really get it.
Mm-hmm.
And he threatened to kick me out because he kept seeing my tire go rolling by the camera, like on a security camera. Like, this is just too much of a liability. Like, and then after that, I was like, I didn't get mad at him or anything, but I was like, I'm not coming back to this place. Like, fuck that. Like,
dude, that's honestly hilarious.
Jerk.
Like, he just didn't get it.
Yeah. I mean, in his defense, probably just thought I was an idiot, but
Yeah, like just dude, just
but just
can't
dealing with that kind of stuff, like I'll just go to a parking garage by myself and do whatever I want. So
right, and that's probably why every single one of your tire coming off clips looks like it's in the back of a alleyway that only goes in one way where no one else can get
yep,
into.
yeah, absolutely.
But speaking of tires coming off, what is going on in the bicycle world right now where everyone's tires are coming off?
Dude, it's kind of caught on, right?
Like what? I don't understand how there's been two of them that are completely insane within 2 weeks.
Yes, that Whitmer did the back wheel one, which was really cool. Stoked to see that happen.
Yeah.
And then yeah, what was his Jake 100? What's his last name? I
I
followed
don't know.
whatnot. But that bite, the swap, you saw that?
Dude, that was like, what?
That blew my like. I love seeing stuff like that to where it's like right up my alley, and it still blows my mind. Of just like, how did that happen?
Fake.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say.
It's not fake.
But
It's
at
like,
the same time, it's kind of cool. Like I'm loving seeing like, I love to see it. It makes me feel kind of like, oh, it's cool that people like. I guess I don't know if they're catching on to me or maybe they're seeing it other places too. Like, but it's cool to see. I'm definitely excited to see it.
yeah, regardless of whether or not they saw yours or did it or how they figured that out, that is like the craziest thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I don't think we're done. And I'm gonna say it now. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet, but could you imagine getting front and back off and back on?
no, just no.
It's there's got to be somehow to do it. So
You're gonna have to.
mark my words. I'm gonna try and figure it out. I'm not saying I'm gonna be successful, but like, there's got to be some way to like.
You're gonna have to
You
get.
would have to maybe I don't know. Just the back dropouts on a BMX are so hard. I think maybe I don't know if you saw that one on the milk crate when I was trying to get my back wheel back in.
Yeah.
I was spinning around like I just couldn't do it.
You're gonna have to get GT to make a cardinal
Right?
style dropout.
Well, I think like I need those pins like, or I don't know what they're called, but something like to where I could click like that and lock it in. But then you have to like keep in mind that it's got to come out too, though. So you can't like clip it in and lock it in.
You have to have a release.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Push the button.
It'll come to me some way, somehow.
Man,
electronic magnets or something, maybe.
Both. You're just gonna. This is why you got GT, man. You got.
Dude, it would look like a Formula One pit stop, just like tires go on, back off. Like I can see it now.
Oh my god, how hilarious would that be with a milk crate? Like you spin around, both wheels come out, then all of a sudden you got dudes dressed up in fire suits with helmets on come in. They're like,
Tate's lost his mind. He started playing with basketballs, and now he thinks he's a race car driver.
BMX on bath salts.
Yeah, right.
Dude, that's hilarious. I mean, if anyone's
I'll keep you posted, Brad.
Yeah, if anyone's gonna do it, it's you, and that would be awesome.
I mean, people are getting really good at that tire swap and stuff. So if I want to, like, stay on the throne of it, I gotta one up it, right?
You better somehow. Yeah, you're gonna have to do it soon.
Yeah.
Just the fact that it happened twice in such a short period of time.
Yeah, I think there's more coming. I really do.
Probably.
I think people have realized, like, people see that, and, like, the internet loves that shit. Like, every time I post a tire thing like that, it's like guaranteed, like, all right, this is going to do really good. And I think people are being like, oh, wait a second. Like, people aren't used to seeing this, and it really, like, captures something in them. So it's just like a guaranteed, like, good click, too. You know what I mean?
Yep.
In my opinion about.
And just how different it is than everything else that anyone is doing.
Yeah.
It's a total, like, I mean.
One sec here.
Oh, yeah, you're good. Didn't even realize you
getting a phone call. Okay. We're back.
Still good. I mean, that one that I did in the ice pick, taking my wheel off, that was totally inspired by you. Like, clearly.
How hard was that, by the way?
It was way too hard.
I believe it. I totally believe it.
It gets.
What's the hardest thing you've done in an ice pick? Would that be it?
Probably. I'm trying to think what all I've even done. No, the one where I literally took off a coat, a hoodie, a shirt, and then my pants.
Oh, yeah.
Taking off the pants was the hardest thing I've ever done on a bike.
I've never considered taking my pants off while riding yet.
Anyway. It was made way harder because they weren't pull away with the buttons.
Oh yeah, you need like the breakaways that basketball players wear.
Yep, haven't had a pair of those since I was about 12.
Hey, they're out there, man.
Yeah. Well, I thought I had some, but I didn't. And it was one of those things, and I'm sure you have this too, where you're like, you get that idea in your head and you're too stubborn to wait on it. So, like, rather than waiting to get those pants like I could have, I'm like, nope, we're doing it right now, and I don't care how much harder it is.
I think working 40 hours a week, I'm off Sundays and Thursdays, and like Sundays and Thursdays, it's game time. Like now with the days being longer, I can get out after work. But like on Sundays and Thursdays, it's like if I have an idea, like, and I think I'm at least ready to try it, like I am gonna give it my 100%. Like today's the day, because if I don't land this today, I have to wait a few days or like wait till next Sunday. You know how that goes. So yeah, I totally relate to that. Like I'm gonna do it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally now.
I just remembered something my buddy texted me. I don't know if that's just art behind you or if you're into sailing, but he wanted to ask about the sailboat.
Oh, I actually got that at DI, and yeah, it's just a sailboat.
It's just art, okay.
But it's like it's very done well. I tried to like Google the author to see if maybe I found like a hidden masterpiece, but I think it's just another painting. But yeah.
Ooh.
Thank you.
There's your answer, Brian. Somebody just reminded me of something that.
Uh-oh.
When's the GT signature Roskelley mag wheel coming?
Tell him to text Ben Ward that or email Ben Ward. I was talking to him about it, and he's like, "Dude, I don't know about the liability thing. Like he was worried about him like breaking or something. I don't know." I've also considered like maybe getting into the mag wheel business because like out of like DMs and stuff, like that's one of the most common questions I get is like, where do I get these? Like, and then this next question is like, how strong are they? I have had no problems with them. Yeah. Minus like bent some axles and stuff like that.
Well, naturally.
But I'm not really like a tooth picker. Like I'm really not too hard on my front pegs necessarily. But
how many people are? Not many.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, you're like.
It's pretty hard to mess up a front wheel, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it should happen. Ben Ward, when you're checking on your boy, making sure he's not saying anything he shouldn't, make him a signature wheel.
Let's do it. Jeff Z is the TM too, so we can include Jeff Z. Like,
Jeff,
get on it, Z.
Do it, Jeff.
I'll sell them for you, I promise.
Imagine all the photos you could take. I know you dreamed about taking product photos of mag wheels.
We could come up with an interesting marketing campaign for sure.
With all the old school stuff that's been coming out recently, like Haro literally just came out with a literal clone of one of their old frame and forks from like 40 years ago.
Great, right?
So like, okay, that they made the frame and fork, they need a wheel. Come on.
That's true. Hey, here's a question for you. Do you watch like old school stuff at all?
I don't seek anything out, honestly. Okay. I did a little bit when I first started making the Lip Lords videos. But it was only like the props best of whatever year videos when they made.
Gotcha.
The couple of those that are online. But in all honesty, everything kind of just comes from, like you said, an idea that morphs into something else.
Uh-huh.
And then just random ideas that pop out of the middle of nowhere.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I just asked that because I like always kind of watched it a little bit, like here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And on the GT project I'm working on, there's like a few tricks that I like kind of not really recreated, but like expanded on some old school ideas.
Nice.
And I'm excited for people to see. They're a little out there, but I guess what isn't that we usually put out. But
bro,
yeah, there's a lot of like there's like a whole like I'm talking like 80s, like when it was like neon and all that shit. Like
yeah.
There's a few things, like, you have to sit through a lot of boring stuff, but every once in a while, there's, like, a little thing hidden, like, a little egg.
The gems, man.
Like, whoa, how is nobody, like, playing with this, like, anymore? Like, but there is a lot of, like, boring shit you have to watch, too. Like, a lot of, like, hopping around and whatnot.
Well, for me, I don't, like, that stuff's good for me because I'm all about lip tricks. So, like, I can take that random hopping around stuff and I'm like, oh, this and that, and weave it in there. But before this idea escapes me, I just had a crazy one pop into my head from wherever the ideas of the universe are stored.
I would like to know.
I don't know if we're going to end up having to cut this out so you can do it before someone else. Bungee cords on the wheels with the milk crate so that they come out with centripetal force and then come back in with the bungee cords. That's your two-wheel.
There's some way to do it, man. There really is.
Holy
or like
crap.
some cords that you could like pull, like, yeah, that just opens up a whole. Yeah, let's cut this little part out and keep this secret, dude.
Okay.
Can't let them know what we're on, dude.
40-minute mark. We're gonna trim them. You're gonna notice a cut just now, people. Just know that something crazy's coming.
Some crazy ideas.
This is why we do these things, because the ideas and the brainstorming that happens.
Oh yeah.
Ricky says that making a mag is a liability, and the mold for one is impossible unless you like wasting money.
Okay, I've heard that a little bit too, because like maybe Ricky, like they're pretty much all patented, right? Patented.
Well, didn't GT make mags?
I think they did. Like,
so where's the molds?
Here's one that I was running recently that I put my black wheel back on. This is a tough wheel, Sky Mag. But yeah, I'm sure they're like very copyrighted and all that stuff. I don't know. Tell us, Ricky.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering if GT might have the stuff already somewhere, just being such a long-standing company.
Would not surprise me there.
Unless the mold got destroyed or something.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I'll get back on, man. The people are asking, man.
The people want it. I mean, that beats tight.
Like, I only started riding it because I thought they looked cool.
Yeah.
And then there is like, have you ever ridden one?
No, I mean, I the only time I ever rode a bike that had mags was a guy who owns a bike shop that I ride for. He built up a old hutch, not old. He built up the new hutch frame where they put modern stuff in it, and he put modern made Skyway mags on it.
Cool.
It was cool, and I mean, I didn't notice much, but the brake pads just didn't grab on it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't know how they used to do that. I've noticed, so I've never ran, I built up a parking garage bike this year that had two mags on it.
Yeah.
That I go play around in parking garages, but I've like, as far as like my normal BMX bike, it's, I've got the normal spoke back wheel, and of course the mag on front, and then so I didn't notice when I went from spokes to mag, but then like whenever I break a mag, I just have my like spoke wheel, and I'll throw that back on, and I can feel going back to the spokes, like my front end feels a little bit dartier because I think the mag is a little bit slower, but it's like once you get used to it, I like it a lot. It's kind of weird like that. I prefer it at this point too, which is, I don't know.
That's interesting.
Or maybe it's just because I think I look cool. One of the two.
Well, I mean, sometimes obviously your riding sets you apart from other people, but also having different looking things on the bike also helps.
I've a couple times like seen like a skater at the skate park, like, dude, I saw this guy with a wheel like yours, and he was doing this, and this. I was like, oh, that was me, dude.
Have you seen the Tony Hawk memes where people like are like saying like, oh, what's like the skateboard? You think you're Tony Hawk or something like that? And it's like the guy in the airport, and he's like, well, I am.
I haven't seen those.
Oh my god, it's so funny. The one, I can't even remember all of them, but the one that's hilarious, it doesn't relate to this at all, but it's him going through the drive-thru, and he says that the person ringing him out notices who he is, and he's like, oh my god, you're Tony Hawk? Can I tell the people inside? And he's like, sure, and then does that, and then somebody inside's like, who?
That sucks. Who's Tony Hawk?
Yeah, that's pretty hilarious though, that people recognized, like skaters recognize those clips.
Because like, I guess all BMX bikes, all in all, too, especially like an untrained eye, probably do kind of look the same, like. So yeah, it does kind of for your image, bro.
Well, I mean, I'd be lying.
You got the bandana, dude. That's your Oh, can we talk about gimmicks? What are your thoughts on gimmicks? I mean, obviously,
I never,
obviously we got them.
I never bought into the idea of having a gimmick, but obviously I ended up having gimmicks.
Yeah,
Like it's not like I got the bars I have being like, oh, I know people are going to talk about these. It was like, oh,
yeah,
cool. Like the company I rode for made these bars and I like candy
yeah.
bars, so I'm riding these. And then it became a thing.
Yeah.
And then my hair's a gimmick at this point.
I think like if you're trying to like, okay, this is gonna be my gimmick and I'm gonna go get this to make this happen, versus like just doing something that you like that slowly evolves to where it's like that's your gimmick. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I think there's a difference there. And
absolutely.
Richie Jackson, the skateboarder.
Is that the guy who is huge, crazy video from a year or two ago?
Yeah.
Yep,
And he's got like the handlebar mustache and
yep,
stuff and all that. Looks like a hippie. Like
yep.
I've had a lot of good talks with him about that, and he's just like a firm believer. Like, dude, you got to have something that people know it's you, because like there's a lot of skaters that look the same. And so he came out, and he actually lived out here for about a month and a half, a couple years ago. And so we'd go out, and so many people would come. He didn't even have to have a skateboard with him. Just you'd be out to eat or something, and be like, "I know you. You're the skating pirate dude. You're what's your name, Richie Jackson." He
Wow.
got that more than like any, but like as far as like somebody that's like famous, I'm sure there's a lot of famous people that would get recognized a lot less. But it was at least a couple times a day everywhere. Like, I know you, dude. Like, and it was really weird seeing that. It was kind of like, all right, there's some truth to this. Like,
Yeah, that's
sets you apart.
that's really interesting. Like I never really cared about that kind of stuff, and then it kind of just got to a point where I like realized what was going on, and like there's no hiding the fact that people talk crap about my hair on YouTube. But at this
Yeah,
point, I'm like, and my bars. But at this point, I'm like, dude, if I changed anything, I wouldn't be me anymore.
yeah, dude, absolutely. I mean, especially the older I get, the more it's just like, of course, I want people to like my writing, but like, I feel like I haven't changed since I was a kid. But I do what makes me happy, and I think that's like the best approach to do it. Like
Oh, without a doubt.
I think it definitely does take a different sort of confidence or even balls, if you want to put it, to like do your own thing.
Oh
You
yeah.
can probably relate to that too. Like it's like I remember like when I first started traveling to California when I was like on volume and stuff, and I was like up and coming pro. Like it took balls to do like some dumb shit around like some established pros. Just like, oh man, what do these guys think of me? Like,
Yeah.
and that's like a something maybe people wouldn't realize. Like being yourself sometimes like takes a little bit of balls.
Oh,
And looking back,
anyone,
I'm glad I stuck to my ways. Like
dude.
I'm sure you are too, and a
Literally.
lot of people that are creative. Like takes a while to establish yourself. You're gonna be that kook for a little while, and then like starts working for you, and it's like, oh yeah, that's cool now. But at first, it was like, oh man, I bet this dude thinks I'm a freaking idiot over here.
Oh, absolutely, man. But literally anyone can go out and put four plastic pegs on their bike, a coaster, four-piece bars, wear some skateboard outfit, and then go
Yep.
and do some bar spins. Literally anyone can do that
Yep.
and feel comfortable. Whatever. You can do whatever you want. I don't care. Clearly we both believe in
Oh yeah, yeah.
freestyle. But at the same time, if that's not who you are, you're kind of cheating yourself out of you're
Yeah.
cheating yourself and you're
Oh
cheating
yeah.
the BMX
Absolutely.
world as a whole because you
Absolutely.
contributing who you are to BMX when you're at that level is
Yep.
so much better.
Totally agree. Totally agree with that for sure.
I love that
All you
we
guys are watching out there, be yourselves. Don't be afraid to look like a dork. I do it all the time.
look at
Oh,
me.
and while we're on that topic, what takes balls now is like when I go out and have an idea, like say with a milk crate or a cone or something like that, and somebody sees me like in this parking lot all by myself in a weird part of town, like eyeing something up or practicing
Mm-hmm.
something. Like I just wonder how many times, like I wonder what that person. They probably think I'm like crazy over here. Like I
Is this
really
guy
wish I could just.
homeless?
Yeah, like what is this guy doing? Like
What's this
makes me wonder.
homeless dude with a bicycle doing with this milk crate?
Why is he? Yeah, why is he digging a crate out of a garbage dump? What is going on over here? Like
That is
I could only
hilarious.
imagine. Why is this guy throwing a tennis ball at his tire? It doesn't make
Man,
sense.
Oh, thanks for reminding me of that. I forgot about the tennis ball throwing. Gonna have to make that a thing. Anyway, yeah, I've thought about it a couple times, but it doesn't cross my mind very often. The main thing that crosses my mind when I'm out riding is, oh crap, are they gonna come kick me out?
Yeah, I get that a lot too.
Before ever thinking like, I wonder what they think.
Do you ever do like, I know street riding, like sometimes like, do you ever like play the part, like throw a vest on or anything? I do that a
No.
lot, like setting up spots sometimes. Like I learned that from Mastroni. Mastroni's the king of like, he even has a hard hat in his van at all times, and he'll throw the vest and a hard hat on, and he drives a Sprinter van, and he
Man,
can pull up to anywhere and look like he belongs there. And it's just like it's funny
yeah.
to see that work.
I'm like 2 clicks too paranoid to do that.
Yeah, I don't know, like as much as I street ride, like I do have a fine moral value of things that I will like ruin or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Absolutely.
like I don't know, I'm trailing off, but like yeah, I try to be a respectful street rider for the most part.
Yeah. Which is
Do you
good.
remember that? Here's something I can tell you. Remember that OSS edit they had probably like 7 years
The
ago now?
OSS edit?
Yeah, the one
Yeah.
that my first video that kind of went viral.
Yeah.
So all the local news outlets made it a story, so it was like a news story here in Utah.
Oh no.
And so they saw me like grinding trees and stuff, and a lot of it like is like I had permission a lot of times like do spots and stuff because like I'd way rather get permission and like you can't always do that, but like there was a scene where I grinded this tree that was hit by a car.
Yeah.
And so I grinded a tree, and there was like hundreds of comments saying how fucked up it was that I ruined a tree.
Oh my
But it was like the
god.
tree was already hit by a car and was already like bent over. But to the average person, they didn't know that, and they're like, so I was like painted as like a horrible person by the news outlets. But I guess no publicity is bad publicity, right? Isn't that what they say?
That's exactly right. But that is hilarious because most of those people are probably the same people who are like wasting napkins and like
Yeah.
doing stuff that
There's
actually kills trees.
there was one comment that I think one of my friends like wanted to frame, but the comment was like, "This kid needs to get a job at a grocery store and go back to school." It's like, you don't know, buddy. You are ding ding ding. Kind of cracked us all up.
Grandpa? Like, is
Yeah,
that you, uncle?
yeah, no joke, right?
That's
No joke.
hilarious. Man, that's awesome. Dude, that's so good. That video's like, is that, did you have any like thing before that in the creative realm of things? Was that
Uh,
before the dollar bets thing?
I think I was always, yeah. I was always like maybe on the creative tip. That's when I first kind of realized like I saw Danny Maxskill. He started like putting videos out there, like getting millions of views, and just like this is cool. Like I could maybe have the right recipe because I know a few tricks of mine that did pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the first video that like everything my thought going into that was like I want this to be creative and I want a lot of people to be able to relate to this, and it kind of worked, I guess.
That's awesome.
And then another thing, like I've realized, like I feel like Instagram has helped me become a more creative writer. You ever feel like so like sections I do now, where it's like I kind of think of it as like a comedy stand-up special, and Instagram's like an open mic night where you just practice your material and you can kind of see what people like.
Oh,
You
I
can
see what
get
you're
the
saying.
idea like, all right, people like this. Like if I expanded on this over here, like I could maybe really make an impact or something like that. I think Instagram's a good thing to like test material on,
Oh,
see if
without
people
a
like it
doubt.
or whatnot. You know?
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that one. I've really found, I mean, that's why I don't really post much other than lip trick stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I realistically I'm more open with posting things on Instagram, I feel like, than you are. But at the same time, I don't post trail stuff as much because I know that my level of riding in the trails is here, but my
Yeah.
lip tricks and like creativity in that realm is way higher, and I just know that people would
Absolutely.
rather see that. So I that kind of does shape things a little bit.
That's why I don't post too much skate park stuff, is because I suck at it.
I mean, I can relate to feeling like that. I wondered what.
Do you ever feel so? Besides growing up in a small town, I think one of the things that has made me a creative writer is I'm not like the most naturally gifted writer by any means,
Okay.
and so I've like had to depend on wit a little more than like bike skill.
Interesting.
Would you ever like? Could you relate to that at all? What do you think about that?
Man, I wish my neighbor growing up and the person who got me into BMX could be in this chat right now so he could just roast me for being able to be sitting on my bike and fall over, or just riding along and turning and just fall over, because
Okay.
there was like, it feels like there was absolutely no natural ability there. It was just a matter of being so obsessed with riding my bike that I rode it
Dude,
every single day.
I think that's like the key to life is like not your skill, but how much you can get obsessed with something.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is. Like if you can become obsessed with something, like you can succeed at it. You know what I mean? You definitely
Mm-hmm.
just, I don't know. You got to find out something that's just like, I like this for some weird reason.
Yeah,
And it
dude. I
like
mean, think about, I mean,
makes me worth living.
yeah, and it like, it doesn't relate to BMX, but if you think about all of those like Gary V type people that are on the internet, what do they talk about? The way they talk about things is they say everything short of become obsessed with what you're trying to be
Yeah, oh yeah,
successful at.
absolutely. Absolutely.
That's interesting.
Do you work? Do you have like a full time job?
I don't have like a full time job, but I have two part time things outside of making a YouTube
Gotcha,
video every
gotcha.
single day. So, like tomorrow
Okay.
morning, I'm going in for the second time in a couple months to. I've been working at home, but I'm going in to film some stuff. I'm basically the media guy at a small tractor manufacturing company.
Oh, cool.
It's pretty cool, and like it's so hard to explain the whole entire thing. Basically, this bigger company had their tractor company, and then there was a smaller, more farm orientated side of things. Well,
Cool.
Toro came in and bought out the bigger one and didn't want the smaller one, and I was
Huh.
working and doing things for both as a part of a whole marketing team. And in splitting off there, the smaller side asked me to come over and be their dude. So like I'm the only guy making
Cool, man.
stuff. Yeah, it's cool
That's
to
awesome.
be the only guy doing stuff where you're like, it's me and then one other guy who kind of have a say on what we're making.
Gotcha.
And then
I feel like part of the reason I've always been able to be creative too is I've never relied on BMX money coming in,
mm-hmm,
and I think that's actually helped me in hindsight. Like I would love to be able to ride every day, all day, but like being able to work a full time job and then like BMX is mine, and it
yeah,
always has been. I mean, don't get me wrong, like I'm on GT and whatnot right now, but having full creative control has really helped me kind of steer my writing career a little bit. So anybody out
absolutely.
there that's like thinking like, well, I love to be a BMX dude, but I have to have a job, like you can make that shit happen. You just gotta maybe work a little harder than other people, but don't take having full creative control. Like that's really important. I feel like.
I would I would definitely, I can see where you're coming from with that for sure. And that's probably part of what has kept me in Ohio and kept me riding the bars I ride, riding the way that
Yeah,
I ride, because I absolutely refuse to bend to BMX to try and make it happen. Because I've never been
yeah,
paid for BMX like as a rider. Prob like
yeah.
I don't really care if I ever will, and
Same.
I
Yeah,
would.
yeah. I mean, I would love to not have to do anything but ride bikes,
Bro, we're
but at the
sponsored by
same time,
Jukin Media.
yeah, yeah. No shit, right? No, yeah,
People have
exactly,
no
exactly.
idea that what can come from those clips like eclipses what you could get from BMX if it happens frequently enough.
Absolutely. I felt like recently too. Like I feel personally like the cycling world, like mountain biking and stuff, like has been embracing me. in a
That's pretty
different way
cool.
than I'm used to. Like it's kind of cool to see that. Like all of a sudden I've like realized like mountain bike people are posting my shit and this and that,
Hmm.
and I'm getting a lot of like you see that Whitmer video, the quarantine home video.
The one where he did the tire thing?
Yeah. Like he hit me up and said there's a lot of influence from my stuff about that, like that to help him make that video and stuff like that. And then
Wow.
like so seeing that kind of stuff is kind of cool too to like maybe think that like there's a little more than just BMX. Like getting out to the cycling world and
That's
having them be cool with it is kind of like shocked me a little bit the last
that's
year or
super,
so. You know.
that's super motivating too, I feel like.
Yeah, it was kind of cool to see. I wasn't trying to get that, but like I say within the last year, I've been getting a lot of love from like the mountain bike community. Um, there's a big fixed gear freestyle scene here in Salt Lake, and those dudes have always been cool.
Those guys
It's just
still
kind of cool to
exist.
see like the cycling world pay attention. I guess I don't know.
That's really awesome. I feel like that's a great way to like push yourself even further to just keep going with it.
Yeah, and I think it's like maybe opened my mind a little bit to like like a lot of people that are filming a BMX video section, like they're just so focused on like I want BMXers to like my shit, like.
Yeah.
But I've always approached it like I want everybody to like maybe be entertained by it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I want everybody to be entertained by it, and that's kind of helped me creatively too. Of like when I'm filming a trick, it's like I want this to be cool to BMXers, but I want like your average Joe to be like, oh, this is cool too. And that's I mean it makes it harder because it's like to the general public you can be a little more dumb with things, but to the BMX like core audience, you still gotta like have a premise and stuff like that. And it's cool if you can hit both of those and like entertain both crowds.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
But then again,
definitely
that makes it a lot more complicated, you know?
there's a balance there for
That's,
sure.
yeah, absolutely.
Which, yeah, I mean, I feel like I can't totally relate in that realm just because, like, I guess people do put me in that creative category, but like,
Absolutely.
because I do so much other stuff with my riding, like, I'm not only putting that out there, so like, I don't think
Absolutely.
about it as much.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
making
no,
me
it's,
want to, though.
yeah, totally. Go for it, man. You're there.
It
You're
just,
there.
it made me realize I should be using the spine differently than I am.
There you go.
Hell yeah. I know you said that you only had an hour, so I don't want to keep you too long, but I did want to ask you, when and how did you find out about the Scotty Kramer plywood on the pool videos?
Um, he gave me a shout out on that.
Yeah, that's why I'm
And
asking. Like,
Ben Ward actually sent it to me.
that's how you saw it?
I don't really watch a lot of like. I follow Scotty and I saw it like right after Ben showed me, but I don't necessarily watch a lot of like BMX vlogs
Yeah.
personally. Um, but Ben sent it to me, and I thought that was really cool that like was saying like, "Hey, here's the idea, and thanks to Tate for whatever." I thought that was really cool,
Yeah.
and like I've never like I personally like when I see somebody taking something that I've done and like making it into their way or whatever, like I know a lot of people would get mad about that, but to me, it's just like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like they must think it's cool. So like, it makes me feel good when I see people trying to like work with stuff that I've done and stuff like that. Like,
Right, and it's way, way sicker that they did that and then shouted you out rather
yeah,
than
absolutely.
just not saying anything in general and then watching and be like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know where you saw that.
yeah.
But I
I've
just
always
wondered.
tried to like that tennis ball trick that I was doing for a while. Like,
Hmm.
Zach Gatt did that first, and he had a funny Instagram post like they did it and then they like called me out like suck my dick Tate, and like I thought it was hilarious
That's
because he
amazing.
came up with the idea but he like knew that it was like right up my alley.
Yeah.
I was like I gotta fuck with this because this is awesome. So like I think whenever I do take somebody else's stuff I always like to give them credit. I feel like that's only fair, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
and that's again with creativity, like everybody's stealing from somebody, you know what I mean?
Oh, without a
Like
doubt, man.
everybody's still I'm yeah. And so like I'll watch. I don't know. Like I watch a lot of BMX stuff, but like I also watch like I'll get motivated on watching like behind the scenes of like BBC Planet Earth, like how they filmed, like how they hid in one spot for 3 months to try and get some bird or something like that. Like I get inspired by a lot of weird shit that like I put into my writing that you would never really guess came from some weird spot somewhere else, you know. So
Wow, and that influences motivates your writing. That's
oh,
crazy to
absolutely,
hear.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
awesome.
Dude, so you remember that quarantine video I did with like
Yes,
the Tate Action? There's a dude named Joseph's Machines, and he's like a professional
that's on
kinetic
YouTube,
artist.
right?
Yeah, and so I
I've
watched
seen
some
that.
of the behind the scenes stuff of his stuff, and so he was doing live performances on his machine, so where it would like he'd run it in front of a crowd,
Yeah.
and because he was running it in front of a crowd, he had to make sure each and every step, and there was like 70 plus steps in each of his videos that had to work, and he was talking about how he tested each step 50 times, and if it would work 50 times, he would move on to the next, and
Wow.
just stuff like that. It's just like I never had any idea. Like I love that kind of shit. Like
Yeah.
definitely a nerd with kind of stuff like that. Like there's a lot of inspiration out there, I guess.
It's just really cool that you find like inspiration and motivation from things that are legitimately and completely disconnected from
Oh yeah,
BMX.
oh yeah. I think that's a big key in being creative. Is like, I mean, if you watch BMX videos all day, like stirring around in your subconscious is mainly going to be BMX stuff. But
That's that's a good way to look at it,
yeah,
man.
don't be afraid to like watch some weird shit, and if you like it, like it. You know, like I'm a big Utah Jazz fan. Like I love. I'm actually going to watch the Jordan documentary tonight because it's the jazz part when he beat the
Nice.
Jazz. I remember being a kid and watching that and like being heartbroken. But like, yeah, I just anything can kind of inspire you, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just never would have imagined that. Honestly, I didn't know anything that we talked about today, but it was really
Well, that's why we did it, right?
yeah, and we got to do it again because this
Absolutely.
is motivating me to get back into the creative side of things that I feel like I haven't been in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, no, you're always in there. Come on.
Yeah, but not in the same way because there's definitely been times where I'm like this when you posted the skateboarding day thing and I'm like, "Oh, I need to get on that."
Yeah,
And certain things like that where it's like I'm focusing until I figure something out. But most of the time, it's just I'm beat bopping along until I'm like,
yeah.
oh, that's kind of cool.
Some days, like on a day like that, where it's like go skateboard day, and you're like, oh, I got this idea. Like, it gives me an excuse to put a dumb idea out there and see if people like it. You know what I mean? Like,
Honestly,
capitalize on that kind of stuff. You know?
honestly, it's people like you that make me realize I need to do that, and I don't think about it until someone like you posts something, and I'm like, oh crap, I definitely should be on this,
Yeah,
and why am I not?
yeah. Any excuse to be creative, I guess, right?
Yeah, definitely, man.
Absolutely.
You got me motivated. You,
Well, sweet man. And I'm gonna come out to Ohio soon. I really need to.
hey Ben, I know you're watching still. Let's make this
Exactly,
happen.
exactly.
I would be so psyched on that.
You ever thought of, have you ever been to Salt Lake before?
Nope.
It's I feel like well no I don't want to say Ohio is underrated, but like Ohio seems like a cool place, but like Utah, like most people think of Utah and they're like, oh yeah, a bunch of Mormons. But
I don't really have a
it's
thought of
cool.
Utah. When I think the word Utah, I think of I can't remember what it was, but it just takes me back to elementary school playing a state guessing game where the teacher would give like big facts about the state and you'd know it based on those.
Gotcha, gotcha.
But that's kind of part of the reason why I like try to make this YouTube stuff happen is so that one day it can be like, yo, Tate's not working for a weekend. Let's go.
Yeah, do it, man. It'd be great. We'll ride together one of these days for sure.
It's gonna happen.
Make it happen. It's gonna be one hell of a creative session.
Oh my
It's gonna
god,
be
I can't
breakaway
wait.
pants, Rubik's cubes, cones,
Let's go.
skateboards,
Let's go right
crates.
here.
Oh, there you go. Yep, yep.
Oh, that.
Absolutely.
All right. I got my next video for the creative thing. I had an
Oh,
idea
shit.
and just never did it because the lockdown crap happened and the skate park shut down and I can only do my ice pick videos on one ramp.
Oh, you have that one ramp that feels good.
It was just like that's what it seems like it has to be on, or it fails.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, well, might as well just follow my own rules.
Do you ever have I have spots that like I love this spot, but like I'll try to film something there, doesn't work. I'll get another idea, go film there again, doesn't work. Like I have spots. It's like I love this spot, but I just can't get anything here. You ever have that issue?
No, because most of the time I'm kind of opportunistic with things. So
Gotcha.
if it's a creative street type deal, it's only happening because I got to that spot, I looked around at what was there, and I found a way
Gotcha.
to use
Gotcha.
it. And I mean, I guess I could say yes in that the skate park that I ride at. You have
Okay.
ideas and you go to the thing and try that idea, and it's just not going to work. Because I feel like at this point, I almost don't even look at that quarter pipe in that skate park like a skate park anymore.
I know how that feels. Yeah.
You just